Sasha didn't seem to like the incident with the water at all, and she urged them to continue their journey. Guys, I know we're halfway there, but how about you save your gossip for later when we're finally away from this cursed sand passage? Please? Thank you. If we don't hurry, another wave will come, and I bet that the icicle won't be able to build up such a strong protective wall again without sufficient rest. By the way, that was a little too short for my taste. You oh so big, powerful hero. And now swing your hoofs and get moving. Cheyenne, you're going with me now, okay? Until the complete idiot learns to behave decently and no longer asks for kisses all the time. I feel really sorry for you. How can you stand it without going crazy? Cheyenne couldn't help it. Again she had to grin at a statement from Sasha. Her friend simply managed to make her feel better in every situation, and was even able to make a little sadness disappear. There was also a little malicious joy, for the young woman always spoke so kindly and nicely to the girl, but when she spoke to Glacio, she was imperious, impetuous, and mean. The healer didn't seem to mind on the outside, but he himself had admitted that the heartless nature of his childhood friend was getting to him from time to time. He had probably just gotten used to it. On the one hand, Cheyenne found her friend's behavior a bit unfair. On the other hand, she was at least able to keep Glacio in check, and actually, if she was honest, he deserved it. The small group continued, Sasha and Cheyenne with Adukas in the lead. Glacio followed behind. For a while everything was quiet and they made good progress. Then they encountered a seal demon from Umbraura, which was much easier to defeat than the Aqua Tigris demon they had destroyed, if Sasha and Glacio were to believe. Shortly afterwards they met a demon again, a giant crab consisting of life force, but even this was no challenge for the girl's companions. Cheyenne was glad that her friend and the healer were with her, because she wouldn't have been able to control these situations with Adukas alone. She also watched the fights very closely to see tricks she could use one day. The girl felt safe and was enormously happy when she could see the end of the sand passage not too far away. The path widened there and turned into a grassy plain. Individual trees and flowers were recognizable, and in the distance a gigantic mountain towered towards the sky. Finally, they would all reach Halonia and leave the dangers of the sea behind. Only a few meters separated the small group from the desired continent. Yes, we finally made it! Let's get away from the sand passage. And there aren't even any chroma stars in the sky, so we were pretty fast. I hope we'll take a short break then. I'm completely exhausted. But hey, we did it. That's the most important thing. Cheyenne sighed long and deep. She was relieved, because she would soon be able to walk on normal ground again, and told her companions what she saw. The sand passage finally ends up there. I see a mountain, grassland, and a few trees. So we made it to Halonia right away. Luckily. The girl could not really express her enthusiasm, because she had almost no strength to speak. Her words sounded hoarse and soft, her whole body trembled with exhaustion, and her feet hurt tremendously. Sasha also seemed very relieved, but you could tell that she was at the end of her rope. Tell me, am I dreaming, or did you really just say we made it? Oh man, I thought we'd have to walk around here forever. My legs are killing me and I could fall asleep while walking. As soon as we have solid ground under our feet again, we take a break. I'm sure no one has anything against it, and if they do, I'll give the person a little electric shock. Unconscious people can hardly mind a break, can they? But I think everyone here agrees with me. It's even still dark, so it wouldn't do any good to go on anyway if we don't see anything, and at least we don't have any time pressure anymore. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see land as I am now. I could even hug the icicle right now, I'm so happy, and that's saying something. Cheyenne smiled and watched her friend stretch and yawn. But then she noticed that the light blue glow of the ice sword behind her was getting fainter and fainter, and that Glacio hadn't given a sharp answer to Sasha's statement. Either he was too tired and fell back, or he had stopped on purpose. Cheyenne was just turning to him when his voice rang out. "Hey, my bunnies, don't rejoice too soon. We haven't arrived in Northern Halonia yet. You'd better turn around and say hello to our nice friend here. I don't think he's in the mood for a tea party today, though. I guess he'd prefer blood." In front of the healer stood a gigantic sea spider, with 8 white legs and eyes made of luminium and a thick oval body made of umbrauror. The spider's first 2 front legs, right and left, were equipped with blade-like claws that seemed to be as sharp as a guillotine. Under the eyes there was a small mouth-shaped opening, which was also decorated with scissor-like handles made of white. On the legs you could see hair from which water beads dripped, and when the spider crab lifted one of them you could see how sharp the end was. Without much effort, the huge disgusting creature could pierce someone's heart with it. It had many small spines on its hind legs, which could possibly lead to poisoning death if touched. The smell surrounding the arachnid stank of decay, algae, and stale water. Thick saliva came out of its mouth. It was a disgusting sight that one would even want to spare one's enemies. The spider crab grumbled and hissed quietly and menacingly. Cheyenne was wide awake now. She had forgotten her exhaustion, and a cold shiver ran down her spine. She got goosebumps, and a terrible stench caused a slight nausea. She had never seen anything so terrifying and absolutely disgusting. She had no problem with normal spiders, she was used to them, because in the Undercity you could find them in every corner and also in the houses. But this spider crab pushed her to her limits, and she believed that from now on she would have a real problem with the 8-legged creatures. The girl began to tremble and felt her heartbeat up to her throat as the creature slowly but surely approached. It was not too far away from the healer and about 3 times as big as him. Adokas pressed himself against his owner, whimpering anxiously and pulling in his tail, hiding a little behind her legs. He had never behaved so disturbed before, but Cheyenne could fully understand it. She was also shocked and paralyzed. She didn't know if it would be right to move, or if it would have devastating consequences. The girl swallowed and collected herself. She had to stay calm now, just like Glacio, and not panic, even if she had not the slightest idea what she and her companions were dealing with.
"What the hell is that? It looks like a demon, but of both forces. That's not possible. Or is it? Glacio only ever mentioned Luminium and Umbrara demons when he talked about them, but never a mixture of them. In any case, it's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Why do such things always happen to us? How are we supposed to defeat the thing? Not only is it disgusting and smelly, it's also a gigantic giant. And that, although we are already as good as in Halonia. And Glacio, he stands there in front of the thing and doesn't lift a finger, as if it were the most normal thing in the world to face death. How can you always stay so calm? That's really incredibly enviable. Once again, you can see how close madness and courage are to each other. And he doesn't even see it. He probably only feels the breath of this monster, the tension and the presence. Oh, I just want to get out of here. What do we do now?
Out of the corner of her eye, Cheyenne saw how rigid and frightened Sasha was. 8-legged creatures were probably not quite one of the strengths of the tough woman. However, the girl couldn't say exactly if her friend was really scared or just overwhelmed by the horrible stench. An additional factor of uncertainty was also guaranteed, that Sasha could not fully see the extraordinary enemy. Presumably, with a lot of effort, she barely recognized the white legs and eyes in the black darkness. Cheyenne hoped that the demon-like creature would disappear into the sea again if everyone behaved calmly enough. But her hope was in vain, and the spider's grumbling fell silent. Then all of a sudden, and without any warning, it let the raised leg smash down on Glacio in a flash, but at the last moment he could obviously perceive it, reacted, and jumped back, out of the reach of the pointed foot. Cheyenne caught her breath. That had been a bit too short, and she was sure that the creature had brushed the healer's hair and missed him by only a few centimeters. Without giving the young man a break, the spider crab aimed its blade claws at the neck of its victim and wanted to separate head from body, but Glacio was just as fast as the eight-legged creature and dodged again. This time it was even a bit closer than before, and he could only save himself from the situation by a backward-facing rollover with a handstand face. If the healer had dodged in the same way as before, it would have cost him his life. The impact of the pointed legs on the sand whirled it up, and benefited the companions, because the fine grains got into the 8 eyes of the monster, and it retreated a few steps. Glacio came to the stand in front of Cheyenne and seemed to be thinking hard. It was one of those situations where he was exceptionally serious and wouldn't think of making any stupid or funny remark. The girl actually wanted to give him the little time he had to think, but the spider crab had apparently been able to free itself from the veil of sand and lifted one leg and the claws on each side. The monster grumbled menacingly again, and the pincers on its mouth moved up and down. It seemed to be even angrier than before. Cheyenne became restless and tried not to panic. Nevertheless, she urged the healer to come up with a plan.
Glacio, it's coming back to us. What should we do? We can never defeat it.
Glacio seemed to be infected by his prodigy's nervousness for a split second, but then returned to his state of calm. Yes, we will defeat it. We have no other choice. Take it easy. Panic won't get us anywhere. Sasha, I know you don't like this at all, but you have to pull yourself together. Face your fear and overcome it. We all have to work together now, otherwise we have no chance. The following plan. First we surround the demon. Everyone stands to one side of him. Sasha, Cheyenne, you go to the side so that you have the legs in view. Adokas moves to the back and I stand directly opposite the demon. This will make him feel insecure and slow him down because there's more danger lurking, and he has to be more careful.
This is an amazingly good plan, considering that he had so little time to think. If we all work together as a team, maybe we can really do it and bring this disgusting something to its knees.
Sasha shook her head and broke free from her rigidity. The healer did not wait for consent and ran off immediately. The ice sword began to glow more light blue and now also drew a glow behind it from which tiny snowflakes came. This had to be an elemental attack, a kind of ice slash. But just as Cheyenne and her other 2 companions were about to set off as well, the healer stopped and swung his sword around his own axis in a half turn, although he was still a little away from the enemy and would not hit his target. His good perception and amazingly developed instincts seemed to have left him, and he didn't seem to feel that his opponent was further away than he thought. For some reason, however, he remained in the position he had now taken, with his back to the enemy. The frontal attack, even if it went nowhere, caused the monster to feel enormously threatened and jumped into the air immediately after the attack. It now landed directly in front of Glacio again, and now stood with its back to the other 3.
What? Did he plan that? How did he know it was going to jump? Well, it's a spider, so maybe its perception is a bit blurry, and Glacio just faked the attack to do just that? He has also deflected and twisted it so that Sasha and I can get to the sides of the monster without any difficulty. I'm speechless. This intelligence is so enviable. But never mind now, no time for a touch of jealousy, perhaps. Glacio's wisdom benefits us, that's what counts, and we all have to be highly focused now to get out of this situation alive.